It's time for the finale of my spectacular Tudor feast. And I've chosen a dish that really deserves to be called a true English classic. In Tudor times, there was one dish that we did better than anyone else, and that was pudding. A typical Tudor pudding was a mix of sweet and savoury ingredients, gently cooked within a protective casing, usually inside the guts of slaughtered animals. The original Christmas pudding was an elaborate mixture of dried fruits, beef and spices cooked in a sheep's stomach. An English pudding was a really sophisticated dish. It was the envy of the culinary world. And the king of them all was rice pudding. Nowadays, tinned rice pudding is a straightforward family favourite. I've come to deepest Devon here, the Ambrosia Rice Pudding Company. I've got my Tudor recipe. I'm going to cook it here, and I'm going to see how it compares to a modern domestic classic. I'm going to be shown around by taster Deborah Crome. But first I want to remind myself of the childhood joys of eating rice pudding. Do you know I haven't eaten this for years? This is definitely childhood memories for me. I just don't remember what I had on it. Oh, it was jam. They've been making tinned rice pudding here since 1936.
Originally they used to use cream. We don't use cream, we use whole milk now. We had sugar, rice and milk, that's it.
Modern rice pudding is actually quite a simple affair, and it's cooked in the can. But the Tudor recipe I'm going to cook is far more elaborate. In keeping with the Tudor taste for mixing sweet and savoury, one of the most surprising ingredients is bone marrow. I know you're going to be looking at this thinking, oh my God, that's going to be revolting, marrowbone in pudding. But think about suet. It's fat, it's kidney fat. And puddings have always used marrow and suet in them. To a basic mixture of pudding rice and milk, I add beaten egg yolks, sugar and a bitter-tasting berry called a barberry. Finally, I'm adding the chopped marrowbone. The mix is now ready for the last part, sausage casings. So they are basically intestines, pig's guts. Here is my authentic, accurate Tudor rice pudding. After an hour of gentle simmering, my pudding is ready. That's really quite pleasant. I think I could be onto a winner, but how do the experts think it compares to their modern stuff?
Quite surprising, spices come through very nicely in it, but I wouldn't have guessed it was marrowbone, not for a moment.
Absolutely gorgeous, a really lovely flavour, very creamy, and the spices are really set it off. It's gorgeous.
I'm surprised that something from the Tudor times tastes as nice as that.
Taste-wise, the Tudor rice pudding was a resounding success, but there's still a lot of work to do if I'm to turn it into the spectacular climax of my feast. The thing looking like a sausage, it was great, apart from the fact that you actually had to open the sausage casing and then scoop the rice pudding out. So, to keep the sausage shape without serving it in the unappetising skin, I need to find a new casing with sufficient lubrication to allow me to slip it off after cooking. I think I found just the thing. The Tudors actually invented condoms. Although some primitive cultures used contraceptives made from intestines, the first actual written account of a manufactured condom is in a 16th century treatise on syphilis. The sheaths were made of cloth and tied on with a ribbon. The actual technique of cooking this rice pudding in a casing and then removing the casing, that works. What you need to do is try this, see if it actually holds together. Browning the rice pudding sausage makes it look more and more like an actual banger, which gives me a great idea. I'm going to serve my Tudor rice pudding so it looks like bangers and mash. So it's back to the feast to put my madcapped idea into practice. Bangers and mash has become a modern English classic. Tudor rice pudding is a historic English classic. So it's actually one then merges into the other. And what I like about this is really in true Tudor culinary style. I've already served the blancmange as a starter. Now I'm going to make a dessert look like a main course. And I'm making my fake sausage even more realistic with a caramel coating. It gives a shine to the sausage which will make it look like it's actually got a casing on it. Also, it will coat the rice pudding in a really nice caramel which have just a delicate crunch to it. So, to assemble the final dish, first the mash, made from pureed banana and apple. Then my caramelized rice pudding sausage. And an onion gravy, made from fennel and maple syrup. Okay, there's one thing missing. Peas. I'm going to make my own frozen peas, but liquid nitrogen is a lot colder than your average fridge freezer. This is minus 197 degrees centigrade, which is pretty cold. Right, pipette, just cut the end off, so there's a slightly bigger opening. I drop a sweetened pea puree into the liquid nitrogen. As soon as the sorbet mixture hits the nitrogen, it freezes into little balls, so look like frozen peas. So there it is, my Tudor rice pudding masquerading as bangers and mash.
Here they come.
It's one each.
Oh, it's sausage and mash. Yes, sausage.
What is it?
The only thing you can be certain of, it isn't sausage and mash.
Heston, you scary, scary man, what have you done?
What are they going to be? Melon or apple or avocado? I don't know. What is it?
Look at that.
Oh, look at the peas. Look at the peas. Looks brilliant in the bowl.
Are you shocked? No, it's not, is it?
My bangers and mash has certainly got them all guessing.
Actually, this is sweet, isn't it?
They still don't know what they're eating. The peas are going down. But they definitely seem to be enjoying it.
The sausage is fabulous.
Got the thumbs up from Scylla.
It's like bread and butter pudding.
Yeah, you're right.
Close.
Oh, I love it. Love it.
Sugar on the
Love
outside.
it.
You said you wanted...
What is it?
Rice pudding?
It's absolutely gorgeous.
And have I finally won over Critical Kelvin?
The great thing about Al Heston is he's full of tricks and games. He's a magician. That was absolutely fantastic.
Was that Kelvin that said that?
Why don't we start serving the food up the other way round? Why don't we start with the bloody dessert?
But that's the Tudor thing, and that's exactly what happened tonight. So now you're seeing.
Kelvin, Heston's got inside your head. Listen to yourself. Listen to yourself, Kelvin. Let's have the dessert first. He's done what he wanted to do. You've gone food mad.
You've gone Tudor food mad.
You came here a strong man, and now you're spouting crazy talk about eating dessert first, Kelvin.
You are.
Heston Blumenthal's run riot on your arse tonight.